Okay, we good?
Yep.
All right, welcome everyone. This is a special meeting agenda. It's our Parks and Waterways and Airport discussion. Well, it looks like an action item too. It's October 5th, 2022. We do have some participants who are delayed, and so even though it is 1 p.m., our scheduled time, I'm going to put us into recess until 1:30. Then we will come back live and have our meeting then. So, any objections? All right, hearing none, we're in recess till 1:30.
Okay.
So we're back on, and it's 1:30 on Wednesday afternoon, October 5th, 2022. 1:30?
I thought you said 11:30.
1:30. Yeah.
She said 1:30.
All right, so I'm calling this meeting to order. I believe Commissioner Filios will join us by phone shortly, and in attendance are Commissioners Brooks and Duncan. Are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll get to our first business item, which is Lakes Highway District Sublease Agreement. And our Parks and Waterways Director, Nick Schneider, will lead us. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Nick Snyder, for the record. Well, I appreciate everybody being here. Hopefully it's a quick meeting. I just wanted to discuss the new sublease, which really isn't my issue per se. I'm not here to discuss the lease. That's between the airport and Lakes Highway District. I'm here to talk about the expenditure made by Parks and Waterways with regard to the leases. And I'd like to give the board just a little bit of history, and those that don't have the history, I'll make it brief. So the original Lakes Highway District lease with the airport, at least that I can find in record, began in 1994, was inked in 1994, and it doesn't mention any boat launches of any kind. It's just a straight lease with the airport. And in 2015, the Board of County Commissioners inked a lease, an addendum rather, that included 4 boat launches, and that essentially the county would pay rent for the use of these boat launches to Lakes Highway District. And essentially, I'm going to call it what it is. It was intended to make it a wash so that the district didn't have any expense. And essentially, parks funding, levy dollars that taxpayers pay to improve and maintain their parks, was now subsidizing rent for a highway district. It's the way I see it. If I'm incorrect, somebody can correct me. And the Parks and Waterways Department, Noxious Weeds, Snow Groomer, and the Search and Rescue, i.e. Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, pays rent to the airport. We don't get a say in that. Nobody's subsidizing us. So essentially, Parks and Waterways is paying rent for its building and covering the cost of this wash deal that was created in 2015. And I wanted the county commissioners to be aware of it, that if this is not changed in the language when the city of Hayden moves into that building and starts to pay a sublease to Lakes Highway District would then essentially be profiting. And maybe they're not, I haven't even thought about it, Commissioner. I'm not suggesting that's their plan. Maybe they'll offer up for us to no longer pay. But in my opinion, we shouldn't have done this in the first place. It's a bad deal for the county. I do not understand why we're doing it, because paying rent for these, quote, 4 boat launches was never an issue before from 1994 to 2015. That said, we are also providing, quite frankly, in my opinion, and the board can weigh and make a decision, quite a service, I'll put it, to Lakes Highway District in terms to, we're policing those right-of-ways. We are providing boat launch services to the county, or to all county citizens. They don't have to do any work. They don't have to spend any money. We're taking care of that and providing a service. If we decided not to do that, if the board did, they would be responsible to then take care of two very busy boat launches, the docks, the boat launches. So again, I want to come back and just state that I have concern about why we're paying this. So, and I've never understood why we have. So I'll leave it at that. And we've paid, and I'll let Keith and Brandy, who's kind enough to come today, weigh in. We've paid in excess of $160,000 in rent on behalf of the highway district when the levy, the intent of that levy dollars was to support parks and waterways. Now, some could argue, well, it's going to boat launches, but parks dollars are used for upland facilities. We have a separate funding mechanism for boat launches. So again, commissioners, I think it's advisable that the commissioners take a close look at this and make some decisions on whether or not we should continue to pay that regardless of a sublease. I think it's just time now to take a peek at it. And I wanted to say that those 4 boat launches, for the benefit of those listening or in the room that don't know, are Bayview, Lower Twin boat launch, Maiden Rock, which is an undeveloped launch on Spirit Lake, and Upper Twin, which is a heavily improved facility as well. So, and we only collect fees, commissioners, on 2 of those sites. And they're not huge revenue generators, but we do collect some fees there. The cost to maintain those facilities is extremely high. So, again, something to consider as you move forward. As to the legalities of all those things, I know Mr. Ferguson's here today. He's the one that handles all those leases with the airport in Stephen. So if they have any comment, I don't think Stephen really has much dog in the fight as long as he gets paid. But I just don't think it's fair for the Parks and Waterways Department to pay the lease for any other agency. So that's all I have.
A couple questions.
Okay, by the way, this is Chris. I'm on.
Hi, Chris. Nick just gave us a kind of a brief history and overview of the situation, and kind of got brought to our attention because the highway district is changing locations and having a sublease, and so it's kind of
Sure.
we want to review this. So, which 2 are we collecting fees for out of those 4?
Upper Twin and Bayview.
Okay.
And Bayview is difficult in terms of collecting because there isn't a designated parking lot.
Yeah.
Where we can issue citations and otherwise enforce. It's kind of a free-for-all, so we don't make much at Bayview, but Bayview is incredibly busy. I think most people understand that. And we're cleaning the restroom, stocking the restroom. We've paid for all the improvements there. So Kootenai County is providing quite a service on that property.
All right. And then, Stephen, is the same amount what they're getting from the city match what they're going to be paying the airport?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Yeah, so yeah, 25,611 was the amount paid from parks to lakes, and then that's part of the 2015 addendum, and then that money, then the rent paid to the airport is also $25,611 even. So Lakes is getting, free rent.
Right.
And just to let you know, prior to 2015, none of those, there was no boat launch. There was no cost to the county for a boat launch. I think it was under an MOU that there was like a $1 payment or something on that, just to list an amount in that MOU, but it wasn't. Essentially
Chris, did you have a question?
No, I did not.
Okay. So, we have been taking care, or the county's been taking care of these boat launches both before and after this addendum, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Since the original lease from the
1994.
Yeah, 1994, and
Okay.
those facilities existed in 1994.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I kind of see, and I'm a direct recipient because I'm a Lakes Highway District person, so thank you for subsidizing my taxes on that. But yeah, I think it's time to revisit this. So I guess what is the best way to do this is to get on the Lakes Highway agenda and talk to them about that, or just call up I do have a relationship with one of the commissioners on that. What is your suggestion?
Well, Commissioner, with board support, I'd like to just start with a conversation with the district superintendent, with
Okay.
Eric Shanley, and let him know that this is our position. Quite frankly, I don't think Lakes Highway District is to blame per se. I think
Sure.
they negotiated a good deal, and the county probably shouldn't have entered into that deal. And I think it's time to just let Eric know, hey, we take issue with it, and what say you? And then if they would want to get their board involved and this board involved, and I'm happy to have that meeting with them,
Okay,
just
Bill?
as a start.
Okay, what are your thoughts, Bill?
I think it's a good idea for Nick to make contact and explore, if you will, what, at your level, and see what you can work out. And if there's a problem, then we'll go from there. Yeah, I mean,
Perfect. Yes. Chris, thoughts?
Okay, Nick, I'm going to ask you to back up a little bit because some of this might please go back to when I was in the hospital or whatever. Very, very briefly, who's subleasing to who?
The Lakes Highway District, who is currently a tenant of the airport,
Right.
airport property, will soon, or someday very soon, sublease to the city of Hayden for their public works department. And then Lakes Highway District will be moving to their new facility in the north end of the county.
Got it. Okay, so the issue specifically is what?
The issue is, Commissioner, that since 2015, Kootenai County has paid a lease agreement in the amount of $25,610 to Lakes Highway District for rent of their boat launches. And it was a deal done with the board in 2015 to relieve Lakes Highway District of essentially having to pay rent by taking Parks and Waterways levy money, giving it to the district for a lease of 4 boat launches. And it's really in lieu of them having to pay rent to the airport. And I did not, my recommendation to the board in 2015 was to not do that. They did that, and that's certainly their prerogative, but it does not seem to make sense. And so now that the sublease is being contemplated, and I became aware of it, and I want to thank Keith in the auditor's office that this was coming forward. And Stephen couldn't have really known that this was an issue for us. It predated him. It gave us an opportunity to talk about it, and that's what we're here to do today. And we have a good relationship with Lakes, so I'd like to just say, hey guys, this didn't make sense. It was good for you then, and we'd like to potentially unwind it should the Board of County Commissioners support it.
Okay, so what's the issue with regard to the sublease itself?
Commissioner, I don't think there's any issue, and Dave Ferguson's here and Stephen's here, they can speak to it. I don't think there's any issue from a legal standpoint for the sublease. I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm just suggesting that if Lakes Highway District moves out, City of Hayden moves in, and we continue to pay that $25,000 to Lakes, they're actually making a profit of $25,000 a year on the backs of Kootenai County because the City of
Got
Hayden.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understood. So then your proposal is to do what? You're going to engage what?
Well, my recommendation to the county commissioners is to unwind the 2015 payments. Ultimately, that's my recommendation. However, I would like to, first have a conversation with staff level and take their temperature on it and bring back their thoughts on it to this board.
Okay, and Stephen, you had,
Got it.
Yeah, and commissioners, just so you're aware, from what our under conversations with City of Hayden and based upon a document that was a very rough draft of an MOU, which we don't know if it was finalized or not, it appears that the City of Hayden's long-term plan is to purchase out the building, but we don't have a timeline for this. And if we follow our normal airport procedures, what we would do is we would terminate the lease and start over. We would not allow for a continuation of a sublease
Sublease.
like this. We don't do that as the airport. It's-
Sure.
This, as Nick said, this is a very odd lease. There was things done in the 2015 modification that I know were not recommended by the director at the time. And I've looked through them and I have some significant issues with them because they're not standard.
Right.
So, that, just a little bit more background of what I believe is going to happen, but the issue is I have no timeline of when that happens,
Right.
so.
I think I read the same document. It said something about half now, like pretty soon now. And then, but yeah, the other half I didn't really catch on how long they were going to take to pay that off.
It was when they finished phase one of their construction, but it was no timeline, there was nothing
Right.
there. It seemed like it could be 30 years down the road for all
Right.
this. It could have been.
Right. Okay, well, it sounds like, Nick, you have direction to go ahead and meet. And Stephen, if you're okay, if we keep the sublease in abeyance until we get a little further down the road?
I would just ask that Eric Shanley with the group has been requested information repeatedly. I would ask that a board member email Eric and his board to just state that we're reviewing, we have some questions that we're asking internally as the airport or the county. That way it's not the airport, because Eric has had issues with the airport in the past.
Okay, well, and I think Nick can get a hold of this as soon as possible and let him know, and if you're comfortable, Nick, let them know that this is why your sublease hasn't been signed, because we're reviewing internal documents.
Absolutely, I'll let him know right away. We have a good relationship, and we'll see what he has to say, but I'll let him know, of course.
All right, anything else from the auditor's office? All right. Chris, anything else?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, Nick.
All right, Bill?
Commissioner?
And
All right.
Stephen, thank you.
All right, I'll call for public comment. And hearing none, 1:46, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.